After seeing blood on their friend's face, everyone breaks into a panic and starts running. Paula and Kurt dive into a car, while Tina trips and the others stop to help her. In the chaos, Paula, driving in a full-blown panic, accidentally hits Duncan, who's definitely never getting back up, but she doesn't stop. Paula keeps driving like she's in a video game until she slams into a pole. The impact sends Kurt flying through the windshield like a human cannonball. He lands with a thud that screams game over. Before Paula can do anything, the car explodes, instantly turning her into crispy barbecue. It all begins with Max's mother, Amanda, who was a famous scream queen in the 80s and stars in this movie as Nancy, the sweet girl next door type. Amanda never truly escapes that role. She still goes to auditions, hoping for something new, but everyone only remembers her as the scream queen from Camp Bloodbath. These days, she and her daughter Max live a quiet life, struggling to make ends meet. One day, while driving home from yet another failed audition, Amanda and Max are involved in a terrible car crash. Amanda doesn't survive, Max does, left behind, broken and grieving. 3 years pass. Max now lives with her aunt and keeps a low profile at school. She's quiet, withdrawn, and still haunted by the loss of her mother. Despite everything, she stays close to her loyal friend Gertie, and Chris, a kind classmate who seems to have more than just friendship in mind. At school, Max struggles in classics, and Chris and Gertie do their best to tutor her. One day, while they're helping her study, Duncan, Gertie's stepbrother, shows up. He's a die-hard fan of Camp Bloodbath and invites Max to a special anniversary double feature of the movie and its sequel, with her as the guest of honor. He thinks the fans would love to meet her, since her mom was the star. Max is hesitant. Watching her mom on screen is painful, seeing her pretending to be someone else, still young, still alive. She's ready to leave, but Duncan drops the ultimate bribe. "I'll do your classics homework until you graduate." Desperate, Max agrees. Chris and Gertie tag along for emotional support. Meanwhile, Vicky, Max's ex-best friend and Chris's ex-girlfriend, shows up uninvited after expertly stalking Chris. They all gather in a crowded movie theater, packed with horror fans, many dressed in full 80s gear, buzzing with excitement for the show to begin. As the movie plays, Max watches Nancy, her mom's character, enter Camp Bluefinch. It feels like stepping back in time. She's stunned to see Amanda alive, laughing and full of innocence on the big screen. But the emotions become too much for Max, and she gets up to find some fresh air. That's when things start to go wrong. Someone accidentally drops a liquor bottle, which rolls across the floor, spilling its contents. Moments later, the ash from a lit cigarette falls onto the spilled liquor, igniting a fire that quickly spreads through the theater. Panic erupts, smoke fills the air. With exits blocked and people screaming, Max searches frantically for a way out with her friends. In desperation, she grabs a nearby machete and slices through the movie screen, stepping through the tear in hopes of finding safety. They all wake up in strange woods. As they try to figure out where they are, a van pulls up, just like in the movie's opening scene. Inside are the Camp Bloodbath characters, dressed in 80s clothes and repeating the same cheesy lines from the film. Then the reality starts to sink in. They've actually stepped inside the movie. At first, it feels impossible. They wonder if one of them, or all of them, is dreaming, caught in some kind of shared hallucination. But they quickly realize they're trapped in a time loop. If they don't get in the van, it just circles back every 92 minutes, repeating the same scene over and over. Eventually, they give in and climb aboard, hoping to figure out what's going on. Inside the van, they meet the counselors: Kurt, the obnoxious jock; Tina, the clumsy one; and, of course, Nancy, the shy, sweet camp counselor played by Max's mom. Max is overwhelmed. Seeing Nancy, alive and smiling, is too much. She starts to tear up. Nancy gently comforts her, assuming she's just missing her parents. As they arrive at Camp Bluefinch, they meet more counselors: Blake, who's generally a nice guy, and Mimi, a hipster. Mimi heads into the woods to pick berries. Duncan notes that the movie is still following the script. Mimi is supposed to hook up with a hiker and then get brutally murdered by Billy Murphy, the masked killer with a machete. He also explains one of the film's core rules: anyone who has sex gets killed by Billy. Max notices Nancy growing close to Kurt. Knowing what happens next, that Billy murders both Nancy and Kurt after they sleep together, Max pulls Nancy aside and warns her not to do anything indecent, fearing it could cost her life. The group decides to spy on Mimi, hoping to confirm whether the movie is really playing out beat for beat. Sure enough, they see her meeting up with a hiker. Just as they begin to hook up, Billy appears and slashes them both with his machete. Then Billy turns and locks eyes with the group. They panic, ready to run, but Duncan, still confident, claims they're safe. He insists that since they're not part of the original movie script, Billy can't touch them. At first, it seems he's right. Billy stares at them, then turns and walks away. But just as they start to breathe again, Billy suddenly reappears. and hurls his machete straight at Duncan. Duncan collapses dead. Shock ripples through the group. In that moment, they understand the stakes are real. They're not just watching the movie anymore, they're living it, and the rules have changed. The remaining group tries to escape the camp, but no matter which direction they run, they keep ending up right back at Camp Blue Finch. Each time, the counselors repeat the same lines they said when the group first arrived. It becomes clear they can't leave until the movie ends and Billy is dead. Realizing they're trapped, they decide to play along and try to survive the nightmare. As the group debates whether to warn the others, Paula arrives. She's the original protagonist of the film, the final girl who's supposed to deliver the killing blow to Billy. Still terrified, the group comes up with a new plan. Max insists they must stop the movie's logic from playing out by preventing the original characters from hooking up or doing drugs, anything that could trigger Billy's killing spree. She steps in just in time to stop Nancy and Kurt from getting too close. But then Gertie spots Billy in the distance and lets out a shrieking scream, catching everyone's attention. With no other choice, the group finally tells the counselors the truth. Billy Murphy is real, and he's coming for them. At the mention of his name, Nancy recalls a local legend about a boy named Billy Murphy. Suddenly, the group is transported into a flashback, an eerie sepia-toned scene set in 1957. They watch as young Billy is shunned and bullied by both counselors and campers. He's mocked, humiliated, and tormented. Until one prank goes too far, leaving him badly burned and hospitalized with first-degree burns. Fueled by pain and rage, Billy vows revenge. He carves his iconic wooden mask and returns to the camp, beginning his infamous killing spree, murdering 8 counselors in a single night. The legend ends with a chilling warning to all new counselors. Billy is still out there, and he will kill again. The group is transported back to 1986, but something's wrong. Gertie still has blood on her face from the flashback. When the counselors see it, they freeze. Panic erupts. Everyone scrambles to escape. Paula and Kurt leap into a car and speed off, only to accidentally hit Duncan, who somehow managed to survive up to this point. Moments later, Paula loses control and crashes into a pole. Kurt is flung through the windshield, dying on impact. Seconds after, the car explodes in a fiery blast, killing Paula too. Now the group faces an even bigger problem. Paula, the film's final girl, is dead, which means the movie no longer has a final girl, unless someone else takes her place. According to classic slasher rules, the final girl must be a virgin. And now, only Max and Nancy qualify. Chris comes up with a desperate plan: lure Billy in, get his machete into Max's hands, and use it to kill him, the only weapon capable of doing any real damage. The remaining survivors rally together, setting up a series of elaborate traps in the hopes of gaining the upper hand. Meanwhile, Gertie, Vicky, and Max finally set aside their differences. They reconcile, just in time for the final fight. Max and Nancy begin to bond. Nancy doesn't know she's Amanda, Max's mother. She just thinks she's a camp counselor in the 80s. But Max sees glimpses of Amanda in her. The kindness, the warmth, the way she hums softly to herself. It's both heartbreaking and beautiful. The group hatches a plan to lure Billy into a trap. The idea is simple. Tina will perform a striptease to draw Billy to the house. But because of Tina's notorious clumsiness, they tie her up to prevent any accidental triggers before the time is right. When the moment comes, Tina begins the striptease, but spots Billy approaching. She runs to save herself, but stumbles into a bear trap. It crushes her head. The group fights to overpower Billy and manages to briefly subdue him, but he breaks free and kills Blake in a violent attack. Billy gives chase, and the remaining survivors lure him into another trap. Gertie and Vicky stay behind to trigger it, but the mechanism is jammed. Billy catches up and, without hesitation, drops a massive bookshelf on top of them. In their final moments, Vicky and Gertie sacrifice themselves so the others can escape. Now Max, Nancy, and Chris are the only ones left, but Billy is still alive, and right behind them. Suddenly, Max turns to Nancy and urges her to trigger the flashback from earlier. It works. The shift in time momentarily saves them, giving Max the chance to grab Billy's machete. While in the flashback, she also learns the location of Billy's shack. As the flashback ends, they're jolted back to the present, just in time for Billy to stab Chris and drag Nancy away. Max carries Chris to a nearby church and leaves him there, barely conscious, before heading off alone to rescue Nancy. She finds the shack, locates Nancy, and frees her. But before they can escape, Billy returns and stabs Max. In that crucial moment, Nancy picks up the machete and slashes Billy, buying just enough time to help Max escape. She brings the wounded Max back to the church. There, Nancy realizes the truth. For Max to survive and become the final girl, she has to sacrifice herself. Max pleads with her, finally revealing the truth. Nancy isn't just a character, she's Amanda, her mother. Max confesses she wanted to save her, to have one last chance to be with her again. Nancy listens, her eyes soft with understanding, but she knows what she must do. She steps out into the moonlit clearing, calm and determined. She begins to dance, slowly, deliberately, under the cold light. Billy sees her. He approaches, machete in hand. Max watches from a distance, tears streaming down her face. She's not just losing a character, she's losing her mother all over again. Billy stabs Nancy to death, and Max passes out. But deep inside her, something begins to change. The sky roars like thunder as she rises, fierce determination blazing in her eyes. Ready to take down Billy once and for all, she grabs the machete and charges into the clearing. Now, she's the final girl, filled with raw energy, fueled by rage, pain, and strength. The two collide in a brutal, desperate fight. Max slashes, blocks, and dodges with everything she has. Billy is strong, but Max is faster now, driven by grief and fury. Finally, she lands the killing blow. With one powerful swing, Max decapitates Billy. His body collapses and his head rolls away. It's over. Max and Chris embrace, relief washing over them, as glowing letters roll across the sky like movie credits. Then, suddenly, a white flash blinds Max. When she opens her eyes, she finds herself in a hospital bed. Everything looks normal. She turns to see Chris alive, sitting quietly beside her. Pulling back the curtains, Max spots Gertie, Vicky, and even Duncan, laughing and chatting together as if nothing ever happened. Max feels confused. Weren't they all dead? Her friends reassure her, it's over. Duncan shows the stitches on his chest, saying a doctor patched him up. Vicky gives Max a knowing smile. Duncan and Gertie are back to their usual bickering. For a moment, everything feels like a happy ending. But then Max notices something strange. A nurse flirting with a doctor in a way that seems too familiar, like something straight out of a movie scene. Suddenly, a chilling sound echoes through the room. They all freeze. They're not done yet. They're in the sequel. Before Max can react, Billy's machete crashes through the hospital door. Max grabs the nearest object, ready to fight once more, and that's where the story ends. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more thrilling tales.